What's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest Jobber Knocker podcast. And as always, there's Nestlemania alongside for the ride is, what's his name, JC. Yeah, I'm tired. Oh, I'm going to get nothing. There you go. Time to crack one open. Hey, did you show your caucus today?
I voted about a week and a half ago. This will be the last time we reference the election, boys and girls. We're well aware it's happening. That's why we're live, because maybe you don't want to think about it for an hour. That's what we're here for. Pop a cold one. Join with us. Let's talk some wrestling, baby.
It's going to be fun. We've got a lot to talk about here. We've got Crown Jewel. We've got AEW Dynamite versus NXT at the 2300, as we call the ECW Arena, 2300. So there's got a lot to be talking right now. It's going to be fun. It's exciting. It's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. There's unfortunately some firings we may want to talk about too. Some releases, excuse me.
You can talk about those in the heat. Remind me in the heat.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that a lot of people have been, thinking about here. So we want to hear from you. We want to see what you got to say. Of course, we're just doing this as a fun time because, the world's different right now. We need to have a lot of fun. So let's have some fun. Where do we start, JC?
We start the Shine Nestlemania. First off, I want to say congratulations to the leader of the Shine, Mandy Rose. She is officially married. Tino Sabatelli, former wrestler, former Tampa Bay Buck. So congratulations to them. Happy to see them tie the knot. But here's the thing, Nestlemania. She is the greatest NXT Women's Champion of all time. But her co-greatest champion, NXT Women's Champion of all time, Roxanne, has a birthday either today or yesterday. So happy birthday, Roxanne. The two goats of the NXT Women's Division. Wedding, birthday, doesn't get much better than that. Cheers, ladies.
Your invitation must have been lost in the mail.
Then they didn't want someone to speak up if anyone had anything to say. I wouldn't want to do that. They've been together a long time.
He looks like a human thumb. You notice that? Like when I look at him, he's like a thumb with hair. It's very interesting.
I don't say anything bad about my Italian brethren.
I'm just saying he's got a lot of money. That guy.
A lot of muscles too.
A lot of muscles too. Here's a skull. Here's a skull. I'm sorry. I saw that ad the other day to make me think you. The Randy Orton. There's a skull. There's a skull.
It's the greatest Royal Rumble commercial of all time. Those who know.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's a lot to talk about here. Do you want to start in the Shine? Do you want to go Crown Jewel?
Yeah. We should probably do Crown Jewel.
Okay, let's do Crown Jewel first. There's a lot happening here. Right off the bat, we got the Bloodline. Like right off the bat, this match was full of
JC told you, Bloodline would kick off the show. The Julies of Cody and Gunther would main event. So hashtag JC knows.
Sorry, Danny's cracking me up with the Thumb Brothers thing. He does. They all look like human HGH heads to me. Like it is what it is. So look, the Bloodline thing was very interesting. Jay got his own entrance here. The Bloodline itself got, one entrance. Of course, Jimmy and Roman got theirs together. They have the whole thing. I love the idea that the tag with the Usos was really great. And then Roman wanted to tag and then Jay didn't tag. I love that back and forth. I think that's wonderful. I'm just curious your thoughts on this entire thing. Of course, there's a botch somewhere. If you can tell, they kind of missed the timing on the 3 count there, which they made it almost not noticeable at all. And then, of course, the big upset here is Solo pins Roman, but I guess that's kind of the point here. And then, of course, we had Sami Zayn come in, and we think he was going to hug, gave the T-bone suplex, exploder suplex. I love that. That was a nice little nugget. And, of course, they miscommunicated, and Haluva kick met Roman Reigns instead of Sami Zayn. It adds intrigue as we can get to Monday and, of course, Friday this coming week. I'm curious your overall thoughts on this. Did Solo need to win this? How do you feel about the overall thing?
The match was pretty mid to sucky, honestly. It wasn't a very good match at all. I thought it was kind of kind of a mess. Like the story in it was good, and the stuff that came after was good. And I absolutely think Solo pinning Roman was the right call because it's one of those things. You put Roman and the Usos together, and you throw in Sami Zayn, they look like a super team compared to like these three people that we've just got to know the past so many months. And then Solo, who was like the heavy for Roman. So this was kind of a definitive way to be like, look it, you guys may be great individually, but we're the cohesive unit. I'm the better leader in Solo, and now I was able to put you on your back and pin you 1, 2, 3, which I believe only 2 people have done since like 2019. So big deal for Solo.
It's 4, but who's counting? So it's fine.
Well, no, I mean 2 different people.
I mean 2 different people.
Well, Cody has pinned him.
It goes Baron Corbin.
Well, I'm saying since Baron Corbin.
So let's say Baron Corbin, Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, and now Solo.
That's what I mean. So there was 2 before. Because the Corbin one was whenever in 2000.
We're saying the same thing, just differently. All right.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
just made it way more confusing. But no, the right man got the pin, did what it had to do. Look, I understand what everyone's saying with this being rushed. I completely agree. But Nestlemania, I don't give a fuck. Know why? William, can you come here for a minute? War games! I don't give a fuck. They can rush this shit, do whatever they want. I want war games. I'm going to be happy. We're going to get these 8 men going, bah, doing shit, killing each other, being all war gamey. That's all we wanted. That's the end result I want. So I'm willing to forgive the rush job. A lot of schedules to deal with. Whatever. I don't care. We're getting there. We're full steam ahead. And we're going to be yelling, war games! In a few weeks. I'm excited.
I do like the idea of like the super team. Like in an NBA super team, sometimes they're like, give me the fucking ball, right? Give me the fucking ball. Yeah. You know what I mean? I love that aspect of like, give me the ball. I want the ball, whether it's NHL, you know, or NFL or any type of pro sport. There's always those athletes, those super teams where you're just like, how are they going to coexist when everybody needs playing time or anybody needs the ball or the puck or whatever? And then this is it. Like the bloodline, this version of the bloodline or the OG bloodline, I guess is what we have to call them. Like it's going to be like, can they coexist? And I love that aspect of it. But I do not really love what happened on Monday personally, but we can talk about that later, probably in the heat. But it's interesting that they kind of like gave Solo his win, but it was kind of like just ushering along to the next thing. They didn't want to like harp on it too much, but it's a big deal. I think that's a big deal to solidify Solo. And a lot of people are like, well, Roman Reigns is willing to do a lot of stuff here for his family. So it's important. It's an important piece of the puzzle, especially to lead into war games. He's going to call it Wardlow games.
If you're going to say it, you need to say it right.
War games.
Good boy.
Hey, don't call me a good boy. I'm older than you.
And we acknowledge our tribal chief, Solo Sikoa.
I love you, Sikoa.
Solo, you my tribal chief.
That man gets me hyped. I don't care what you say. Anyway, take a drink. Moving on. We've got, let's go on to the next thing. What was it? The women's fatal 4-way, was it? This one was a little, I don't know even how to describe this.
Clusterfuck when you have.
Yeah. I mean,
these matches always are clusterfucks, but they're fun. It's just kind of cool to see everyone involved, see the different matchups, have these women in a high-profile match in the place that they were, having this many women involved, and one from each brand was kind of cool. So I was fine with it. Obviously, we knew the champs were going to win, but it was fine.
I did like the ending with, you know, Chelsea and Piper's miscommunication, and then like that's a good comedy spot. And of course, the baby faces have to win, which is fine. But
super over too.
They're all doing great work. So I don't know how I feel about it, but it's a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. Moving on to the next thing, we had Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. Starts with a brawl. Pretty good match. I will give this. I said this on Twitter, but it bears repeating here as well. I'm not a Seth Rollins guy. Never really will be. Never have been. But I'm sorry, Danny. I know you're a big Seth Rollins guy, but I do want to point out this match from a psychological standpoint was just immaculate. Like it was absolutely fantastic. Everything made sense. They went above and beyond. And I think this shows, even if I don't like Seth Rollins or anybody doesn't like Seth Rollins, you cannot overestimate or overhype the fact that this guy, when he puts a match together, everything makes sense. Everything looks good. Everything is believable. There's not a lot of wackiness nowadays with what things he does, with the exception of his outfits, of course. But I don't know what the fuck he was wearing, by the way. It looked like he had put denim on leather. Who puts denim on leather? But that's beside the point. It was a good match. I like the ending with the "What the fuck is wrong with you? What are you made out of?" comment. I thought that was pretty cool. Even though we were talking ourselves into a Bronson Reed victory here. I don't know how you feel about it, but I was pleasantly surprised and I enjoyed it. I think again, we're not done.
Yeah, no, that was my thing, is because I think we expected that not be done either way, but we kind of framed it as we thought Bronson would win and Seth would get the comeuppance. But I guess the way they booked Monday with having Seth in the #1 match, like you kind of want him to win. And Bronson, they put him over immediately by him immediately getting up and Seth being shocked at the pay-per-view. And then on Monday, obviously, he comes out and beats the shit out of everyone. We'll talk about. So certainly it's one of those things like, yeah, Bronson took the L, but they did a good job making it. So it's like we're instantly going to forget about it. We're ready for match 2 between these guys. So that's kind of my takeaway.
Moving on, we've got Nia versus Liv. I thought this was a decent match. Not great, but it was decent.
I enjoyed this. I thought this was fun.
I thought there was a lot of gaga, but the one thing I will say about this is there's definitely something that is really, really funny here is that like everybody shits on Nia Jax. I thought she was the MVP of this match. I thought that she did everything humanly possible to make this work. And I thought like Liv's obviously on the up. Tiffy's just kind of waiting for her moment, which is great. But I think, again, this was a moment where I was like, Nia really shined here, which is funny to me. People still give her shit. It's just like, I think we owe her a little bit more credit than that, folks. I think she's done a great job. But everybody looks at her and just thinks she's just the, the person with the bull in the china shop. But she's not. I think she's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, she's been great since she's returned. It's undoubtable. Anyone who still says that probably isn't watching. So I wouldn't honestly pay that much credence. If people don't like someone and they think a certain way about some people and they haven't been paying attention, then whatever. Like your opinion, like say whatever you want. I'm not going to listen to it because I'm uninformed. And we're in an uninformed society right now. But yeah, this match was fun. I loved all the nonsense the gaga. That's the thing. It's just like, with these Judgment Day matches, there's going to be a ton of shit. We knew there's going to be Dirty Dom. And then Nia had her own gaga because Tiffy's waiting in the wings. So there was a lot of stuff here. I thought it was enjoyable. I thought they did it well. I thought it was really cool for Liv to get the moment and have all the pomp and circumstance because I think it kind of stamped her. Because obviously, like we know, the type of champion like she is, where she's like the heel, and part of it is that she's like not defending as much and yada yada. But I thought this match was very good. I thought both women did good because anytime you get like the David Goliath thing, it's like it's gonna be booked well and the performers have to sell it. And I thought this was a reminder for not only Nia but also Liv that both these women are champions, not only because their character work is really good, but because like they bring something in the ring that is very important. And I think they both did their job, and I thought it was a good match.
Moving on, we have KO and Randy Orton, which was a no contest, and what a fucking crazy! This is
how you extend it. This is how you do it at Survivor Series. You keep them both away from Cody for a little bit. It's just like this is perfect.
I mean, I really didn't expect this to happen, but they went out of their way to really, really sell it, and they went out of their way to really make this something special. And I love the ref getting a stunner. And I really love Adam Pearce eating an RKO. I gave me all sorts of feelings and tingling in my loins, as LA Knight would say. Watching that, I could watch Adam Pearce get beat up all day long. So I was very excited.
Best GM in wrestling. Yeah, Adam Pearce stud.
No, Nick.
I'm glad he got his moment in Saudi Arabia because he deserved it.
Okay. Well, anyway, so this is going to clearly continue. And Randy Orton is going to be kind of in a world of hurt going on here. I wonder if they skip. Maybe? You think? Survivor Series? No?
Nah, it's interesting because it does feel it is weird because they also like Cody's not actually directly involved with a match either at the moment because it doesn't appear he's going to be part of the Bloodline War Games. But these two certainly say so. I don't know. I'm curious how they do it. SmackDown's a must-see this week, not only for the Bloodline stuff, but for this stuff. So either way, they're doing it. I love this. I love that they just had a brawl. They left it open-ended, and I thought this was one of the most entertaining parts of the show because these two fighting was great.
Our boy Dominic says, when Aldis finally takes the bump, it's going to be wild. Well, so this opens up a question here. I think this gives a little daylight to a little possibility that we may see Aldis or Pearce do something physical, right? Like just even a little bit. No?
Doesn't do much for me.
So you don't think Nick Aldis, who looks better than, 95% of the roster, should not get a chance to do anything?
There's a reason why he's in a GM role, not wrestling. That's all. It's nothing against them.
I
Like,
think
if they-
you're a hater,
if they
personally.
want to do like a Royal Rumble moment or something like that, sure. But like, that isn't going to make me interested in a match. It's just the same thing as I felt with Nigel McGuinness and AW. Yeah, sure, it's cool. I don't care. The only one that I would pop for to see wrestling again is Wade Barrett. Ba, 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 ba!
Oh, wait, hold on. You're going to tell me that Wade Barrett is head and shoulders above Nick Aldis?
For me, yeah. I've seen Nick Aldis wrestle one match. It was against Cody Rhodes. And it was great. But Nick Aldis, the wrestler, doesn't do much for me. Wade Barrett, the wrestler? Adam, I'm afraid I got some bad news for you, Mr. Aldis.
What if it was Wade Barrett? What if it was Wade Barrett versus Nick Aldis?
No.
No?
Okay.
Okay.
I want to see Wade Barrett versus like fucking Sheamus or McIntyre or something like that. Like a good old-fashioned brawl. I don't want to see a fucking GM versus a commentator.
Okay, I'm just trying to get it. I sense here that you're kind of an Aldis shamer. That's all it is. That's all.
Like I said,
you are a little bit.
It's Nestlemania.
You know what it is?
If it was one of those things where he was such an attraction, when they signed him, he'd be wrestling. But they made him a GM because they think he can bring a lot to a television screen. He deserves to be here, but he's not a wrestler first anymore. He is a fucking GM. We see this all the time.
All I'm saying to you is that man put the NWA back on the map.
Great, wonderful.
He was when you think of prestigious, when you think of champions.
How much NWA do you watch, Nestlemania?
Not anymore because he's gone.
But
he was single-handedly holding it together. You don't think that guy deserves one match? One match.
He can have a Rumble spot. He can have a dark match on SmackDown.
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? Nick Aldis deserves at least Adam Pearce. I don't know. Adam Pearce deserves a match too. They both do.
Adam Pearce versus Roman Reigns.
Well, that would have been fucking great. Yeah. But I'm just saying, both of them deserve something.
You and like some of the internet dorks, I'm sure Dom's all fired up about this. They say like, Nick Aldis, he was so good in this fifth-rate promotion, and he was amazing, and now he's old and he's in WWE. Yeah, why? Let's have a match. Fine, have a fucking match. Doesn't mean I'm gonna give a shit about it. Whatever.
Listen, you're dead wrong about this.
No,
you're
I'm not.
Absolutely dead wrong.
Are you still fucking jerking off to fucking Nigel McGuinness? It's so great. No, it was a cool moment. Good for him, but I don't give a fuck. I never want to see him wrestle.
Well, he's not going to wrestle again because of everything that happened to him.
Same thing, dude. If it was one of those things where he was such a draw and such a great wrestler, he would have been wrestling. He wouldn't have been signed as a GM.
I think you're completely ridiculous right now.
No one fucking cares.
We're gonna put up a poll. We're gonna put up a poll.
Send the AEW, let him wrestle there, because that's where all the fucking geriatric has-beens have wrestled now. So send them over to Tony. Fucking snort some coke together and have.
Look at this, JC. You've never been more wrong.
It's
wow.
Dom. Of course, Dom doesn't even watch a lot of the main stuff. He watches all this shit. It is great because it fills me in. I always ask him about Impact. But it's like, come on. What are we talking about? Listen.
I'm not saying give the man a world title. I'm just saying give the man a little bit of a spot once. Just once.
But you can have a match. But again, I don't have to give a fuck about it. Whatever.
You are a turd. You are a turd.
Giovanni Vinci.
You are a turd. You are the definition of a turd right now. You absolutely are.
No, this is the typical thing where it's like the internet gets so excited. This guy will come out and he'll barely get a pop because most people will be like, why is this guy wrestling? It's such a tiny minority here. It's like, whatever. It's cool. He can have it, but it's like, yeah, go half pack an AEW arena and book him. Wonderful. Great.
I can't wait for you to eat crow on that one. I really can't.
So there's no world where like he will be like a super over wrestler again. Like it's just like he's been here a year and a half now. He's a GM for a reason. It's great. He's a great person with a great wrestling background. He deserves to be here. They found a nice TV role for him. He looks great in a suit. I love his accent, but he's past his prime. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. He's in a good spot. Instead of trying to wrestle and at fucking AEW or something like that, he came to WWE and he's with the better company and he's probably making more money and he's doing better things. He's probably having a lot more fun.
Turd. Your takes get worse with the amount that you sip.
No, you're just such a dork.
No, I'm not a dork. No, I am not.
Such a dork.
I'm telling you right now. You're wrong.
You and the fucking 1,000 people on Twitter who fucking jerk off about wrestling can fucking go watch old Nick Aldis matches in NWA. Go for it. Wonderful. I guarantee you, like 90% of the WWE crowd doesn't even know what the fuck NWA is.
Anyway, from one over wrestler to another, we're going to go to LA Knight versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. This was kind of a crazy match. There was another botch by LA Knight doing a move he should not be doing, but it's okay. He slips and castrates his nutsack on the top rope, and then he fucking gets back up and ruins it with a. I thought the finish with the double, BFT was great. Of course, Carmelo Hayes can make anything look fucking fantastic. The MVP of this match, I don't care what anybody says, Andrade. Give him everything. Just put a strap on him, man. Get him the rocket, for crying out loud. I don't want to hear this shit anymore about, like, you got to stick him with a manager or you can't do this, can't do that. I'm done. Andrade is just so unbelievably talented. You can tell me all you want about shortcomings. This is ridiculous. Andrade is so good. There is no excuse anymore. Like, Carmelo Hayes will have plenty of success. He's amazing. LA Knight, to me, fucking leapt the dolphin. He's done. In my opinion, it is time to sell. Sell on him. Just fucking sell away the stock on LA Knight. He has hit his fucking peak. He is going to lose his stock, folks. Get rid of LA Knight out of your fucking portfolio. You hearing me, Wall Street? Yeah.
You're such a hater. But, I mean, you're preaching to the Andrade choir right here. I always say, no matter what, if Andrade is wrestling, I'm watching. Because that man is so fucking smooth. And I love watching him wrestle. And I hope him and Melo get to have a real 7th game, one that didn't end in DQ, because I'd like one more match between those two. But yeah, I mean, anytime those two are in the ring together, it's going to be great. LA Knight, he is what he is. He's super over. Very mid wrestler. But whatever. As long as he's still over Nestlemania, he's going to be, on his way to the top. Yeah.
All I'm saying right now is that
he's close to turning heel, though. I think
you can feel it. You can feel that they've are like, all right, this is as far as
they know. They're like, okay, we're getting to the teetering point.
I don't know. I looked at this entire match with the exception of like I said, I enjoyed it. But then my thought was, what did this accomplish? What did this fucking accomplish? You know what I mean? It was just there. It was just this whole since he's beaten Logan Paul. I don't necessarily think that his reign, like presenting him as a champion, has been any good. And that was there's one thing about getting the chase and winning the championship. It's another thing to, once you get the championship, to make something of it. Whether Eddie Guerrero said a long time ago, if they give you the championship, it's because they want to present you on a certain level or they want you to level up that championship. He is not leveling up that championship. They are trying to bring him up to a level that he is not prepared for, in my opinion.
I think he's been fine. I don't think he's done a great job. I don't think he's done a bad job, but it's one of those things where it's like, he's a character that gets a reaction every week, which I think is good for that championship, especially going from Logan Paul to him. Like, look there are better wrestlers on the SmackDown roster. Andrade, Carmelo, Santos. But there's a reason why LA Knight's the champion right now. It is what it is. It's like, so I don't have as much of an issue with that because I think he's been fine. I mean, babyface champions in general, we're a broken record with this. It's just not as interesting. It's a lot harder, but I'm not going to be that harsh on it there. Like, we know his shortcomings. They are what they are, but the man's over. And when you're over Nestlemania, you get TV time and you eventually get a title. Glad it's a mid-card title and not a world title.
Okay. That's fine. Moving on to the main event as we have the Crown Jewel Championship as Cody Rhodes took on Gunther in a fantastic match. Some might even say the best Cody Rhodes match up to date in the WWE.
I don't know if I agree with that, but it was great. I loved it. It was fantastic.
You know why I loved it?
Because it was a really good match.
They stole like 60% of all Bret Hart matches in this match.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
why it was good. That they no. The finish was Bret Hart.
Here's the thing.
The finish was Bret Hart. They took all of Bret Hart's spots. Yeah. They did so many Bret Hart things.
I didn't know Bret Hart invented spots, first of all, but second of all,
Bret Hart didn't invent spots. Bret Hart invented good wrestling.
Both these men did it way better than Bret ever could.
So. I don't know about that. Don't know about that.
Gunther, way better heel than Bret ever was. Cody, way better babyface than Bret ever was.
Oh, God, you're wrong. You are wrong on. You are. Hold on. Hold on. Since I'm gonna make a shout out to Dom for getting me this thing, and Conway for this thing. Listen, this man.
Knows you're biased.
This total bias. This man was still to this day a better babyface than Cody Rhodes. This man is a national hero in Canada. This man, you go internationally, they still love him to this day. He is the most bitter son of a bitch in the world, and yet we all still love him. This man was a heel in 97. Probably the best heel that he's ever had in his life. He is a better heel than Gunther. The end.
I'm sorry, I fell asleep because Brett sucks and HBK is better.
HBK never draw a dime. Go check the fucking record books.
Neither did Bret Hart. Brett's best moment was because of Shawn Michaels. So, also Bret Hart, the worst Hart brother.
No, you've never met Bruce.
I'm just saying in wrestling. I know two Hart brothers.
Listen, the ignorance that you have about the Hart family shows
I like
how
Owen. I'm sorry, I like Owen better.
Bruce is bad. Everybody hates
I don't even know
Bruce.
the fuck Bruce is. I don't care. I'm talking about Owen and Brett.
No. You're wrong about everything. You're wrong about everything.
No, I'm right about everything. I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. Shawn Michaels better than Bret Hart. Cheers.
Hey, you know what? I'll tell you this much. At least Bret Hart still has his hair. That's all I got to say about that.
At least HBK still has a job and isn't a little bitter bitch that still cries about Goldberg every time.
He wouldn't have a job if his best friend wasn't running the company. Just saying.
Yeah, well, guess what? He's the best GM or fucking booker of all time, baby. So it doesn't matter.
It's a lot easier
when how you get a job, Nestlemania. You know how business works? That's how business works. You make connections, but he's the greatest of all time. The greatest chef we've ever had in a booking kitchen.
He is not the greatest of all time in wrestling, though. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah, 100%. He's the greatest of all time.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
He's the greatest of all time at everything. Go.
No, he's not. He's the great. Might be the greatest booker we got right now, though. Absolutely, I agree with you on that.
Close.
NXT is cooking big time.
Yeah.
But you are fucking high off your rocker if you cannot tell me
I'm
that.
Not high
so anyway,
I'm drinking.
Okay, well, you must be drunk off your fucking stupor because Bret Hart was all over this fucking match, and that's why this match was fucking phenomenal.
Bret Hart, mid.
No, he's not mid.
Cheers.
Ooh, this is number 2. We're only 26 minutes in, folks. It took him 26 minutes to fucking finish a fucking drink. He's fucking sipping. Anyway, so look, this match happened. It's great. Do you think Cody needed it? Is it because we needed a babyface pyro at the end?
The minute I saw Liv win, we knew Cody was winning because they were doing one of each show. They were going to do a heel and a babyface. And look, it's the first time you're doing this championship, and I'm sure all the Sheiks wanted to pose with Cody Rhodes over Gunther, so that's what they did.
Okay.
I told you. I predicted Gunther. I said it should be Gunther, but it's not my call. I don't control the blood money.
Did you feel like they cut his nuts off Gunther a little bit with the handshake and the fucking
No, because that's the one thing about Gunther presented in this feud, and Gunther is a heel. And we've seen him get low with like Priest and stuff and with like Brett, but it's one of those things like part of the reason Gunther is a heel is because he doesn't like fun, because he's serious about wrestling. And Cody has been presented as the best wrestler in WWE since he beat Roman Reigns, and he bested Gunther inside the ring. So Gunther's character would respect that. And even in this feud, the first time they met, he said he respected him. So I thought that went perfectly with what Gunther's character is. He is a heel, but he also is someone, part of the reason he is a heel is because he respects the game so much. And he's such a straight-laced ring general. It's all about inside the squared circle. I don't like to have fun nonsense. So I thought it made sense what he did.
Okay. Fair enough. Overall,
did you think of Jewel of Crowns overall?
I thought the wrestling, with the exception of that last match, I thought the wrestling kind of sucked.
Kind of agree.
I was not impressed. I thought it moved a little, moved us along, checkpoints as we call it here. But in terms of the wrestling, not their best outing. I would go as far as saying glorified house show with pyro again.
Yeah, but here's the difference, because I think the one thing that we've seen change with these shows is heels are actually winning. The first time they did all these, it was babyface. This one, it's like you're mixing in Liv and stuff. They're like obviously kicking off the show with Solo. Like, I will say, the moment that Solo pinned Roman and all the air was sucked out of that arena, I was like, this is fucking awesome, because that place was just so devastated. They weren't even mad. It was that mix of like shock and disappointment, and that's such a good reaction. Such a good reaction.
Okay. All right, moving on. We should get into the shine, right? The regular part of the show.
Back to Mandy Rose, baby. And we're going to honor Mandy Rose, and we're going to talk about the women Nestlemania.
Okay, so talk about them.
Which woman would you like to talk about first?
I'm curious, is this a choose your own adventure? Are you even going to bring up SmackDown, or are we going right to Raw?
No, we're going to Raw. We're going to talk about Liv Morgan kicking off the show, because I think she's really hitting her mark right now. And I love this thing where like they're kind of doing what I kind of always ask for in these long feuds. They're giving us a breather from Rhea. Now I fully expect her to show up after Liv takes on Io, but it's like I kind of like when you're in at this very, we know it's like a 6-month feud with Liv and Rhea, but it's nice to have other defenses in between. So the Battle Royal was what it was. It was a cool way to show off your women's roster in Saudi Arabia. So I love that part of it. And obviously they're doing the feud with the tag team, the women's tag team, which I think is smart because we talk about it all the time. Like Jade and Bianca are such powerhouses. Like we need more threats. So what better way than to make a good threat to have the women's champion and her heavy as challengers? Like I think they're a more legitimate threat than the rest of the division that Jade and Bianca have already beaten over and over and over again. So I like the involvement there. I like that they eliminated him. And then I think Io and Liv will be a fun match and a nice change of pace for this division until Rhea comes back.
Do you think there is a possibility at Survivor Series, or maybe they'll do it on a Raw perhaps, where it will be Raquel Rodriguez and Liv against the two Juggernaut tag team champions?
Yeah, I don't know if that'll be a TV match or maybe that is the Survivor Series match and Liv and Io's the TV match, but it's one of those like I would assume whatever match Liv is involved in at Survivor Series, that's probably when you get the Rhea return.
I mean, she broke her orbital bone, I think is what I was told, so we'll see how long that lasts.
Who knows?
But maybe she'll come back with the Undertaker mask again when Yokozuna sat on his face. That's a real thing.
Eye patch?
Yeah. I love you, Yoko.
Are you mixing characters right now?
He's a Samoan, so
okay.
I can do whatever I want. That's Rodney, baby. You can do whatever you want for Rodney Fatu.
All right.
He's literally the uncle of the man that says I love you solo, so it's okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Know your Samoan family tree.
I do. I'm just saying, not all Samoans are the same, Adam.
They're not. Clearly, you could tell the difference between a Samoan.
Yeah, because I acknowledge solo.
By the way, it took me till this year to realize that they're not actual cousins. It's a blood oath. Like, that made me upset. You know? I'm just saying.
I haven't studied their family tree that deeply.
It's literally, it says up top, by a blood oath. So yeah, it's like two families. It's not like there's like an actual connection to these people. That's what I'm saying, is it? I don't know. Someone more educated than me in this would have to tell me.
As coming from a culture that also has like families and like even though you're not related, you're still family. Like, you know, I'm okay with that.
All right, I'm ignorant. All right, I'm stupid. There you go. All right.
Maybe not for this, but you are.
Plenty of other things.
Cheers.
Anyway, what else you got? You got a lot of stuff on here you want to talk about?
I actually don't have a lot. I mean, because we're not really talking about SmackDown, but I will. I mentioned it earlier, but I did enjoy the main event. I love Bronson Reed coming out and just beating the fuck out of everyone. Thought this was physical, and I mean, you know, I love anything Dirty Dom. So him just trying to steal the win and him like running away and all that stuff. Like, I love that bullshit. Everyone loves. I love cowardly heels, and Dom does it really well. And I was so hopeful that he was going to fucking steal a win. And we were going to have a Gunther versus Dom match. But obviously it went to Priest, who was probably the favorite because we knew this rematch was coming at some point. But I thought the way they did it was good. It obviously sets up Bronson Seth to keep on going. And it gave Sheamus like an opportunity here because he's done a lot of good work. It was good to put him in the main event, have him contending for a title. But the right man probably won because Gunther and Priest, I'm assuming, is a Survivor Series match.
So now that we know that Gunther took a clean loss to Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel, it does make me feel like it makes Priest kind of an afterthought here, though. Like it's a foregone conclusion that Priest is not beating Gunther. So it just feels like we're kind of like, instead of me being excited because, in my opinion, Priest was really cooking towards the end of his title reign. I thought he was doing great babyface work, and then he became officially a babyface after he lost it, and then he's been kind of killing it lately, and I just feel like when you present him now, like I just feel like he's shoehorned into this entire process where it feels like Gunther just took a loss. So I know as an educated guess that Gunther is not going to do 2 in a row.
Even if Gunther won, you would have thought this. We never thought this is who Gunther beat for the title. They were doing the rematch eventually. Priest had to earn it, and he did. Whenever they were going to wrestle, he's not winning. Just like if Seth faces Gunther again, he's not winning. But they're still going to do it. It's going to be a good match. These guys have good chemistry. It was a good feud before. A lot of people in the crowd might think he might win because they're not doing wrestling podcasts every week and are a little overeducated on the subject. So But I'm just saying, I don't think there's any world where if Gunther would have won this match, lost this match, that you would have felt differently as Priest as the challenger. I don't think there's any way that either of us would have believed he actually had a chance of winning this.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. So
Yeah.
shouldn't you, in theory, as a viewer,
in Austin theory,
yes, A-Town, down. Maybe you should really think about this, because it's like, okay, if I see so-and-so versus Gunther, and I'm waiting for the person to show up where I'm like, oh, I don't know who's going to win this match. That
CM
makes me more, okay, that makes me more excited for that, right?
Yeah, but it's one of those things.
Or like, Drew McIntyre, somebody that's like, maybe.
We watch wrestling all the time. There's always guys that come and challenge for the title because you got to notch up wins for your champion. It's just one of those things. Like, you don't just blow a big match immediately. It's like Gunther CM Punk's going to be saved for a bigger pay-per-view. Survivor Series. What's the draw? William, can you come back? War Games! So you want to have a good championship match because it's a major pay-per-view, but it's like, this isn't main eventing. Not a chance. It's going to be just a match on a card. So you want it to be good, but you're not going to do Gunther and CM Punk at Survivor Series. You'll do Gunther and Damian Priest because it's a rematch. We've already seen it, and we know Gunther's going to win, but it's a match you've got to do anyways. And Finn will probably play a factor in this match as well, because as we've seen, he doesn't want to be done with Damian Priest. So that'll probably be a way where he probably affects Damian at some point in this match, and then they can still have an excuse if they want to even do this again down the line.
Fine.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I just don't like it. Personally.
You don't like anything. It's
a waste of time. Waste of fucking time. You're a waste of fucking time. Keep sipping.
Nestlemania, if I pounded these, I would.
What? It'd make you a better podcaster? Come on.
No, it's the fact that you think one drink in 25 minutes is slow is insane. Now, granted, you don't drink, so it's okay. But if I drank at that pace all night, I'd be passed out very quickly.
And anybody else would have to tag in at this point. It'd be great.
Yeah. So
that's okay. Anything else?
These aren't beers, Nestlemania. They're mixed drinks, so they're a little more potent.
Potables.
Delicious.
I'm glad you're having a good time.
I have to.
I'm glad.
It's fucking election day, and we're doing a podcast because we don't want to think about that shit.
Anyway, anything else you want to talk about, or you want to get heat?
You can get in the heat. That's really all I had in the shine. The rest of it, whatever.
I don't really have a lot in the heat, but I will say I didn't love the Sami Zayn promo. I feel like as much as it all makes logical sense. I'll start off with a positive here. I'll do the compliment sandwich. But as I was sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, he's not family. And now he is family. And then it's like, oh, but we still got to talk to Roman, which I get. And there was a great clip that somebody posted on Twitter that showed like right after Sami Zayn was going to say something after he had turned on Roman at the Royal Rumble. There was supposed to be a SmackDown where they were going to have a face-to-face and Jimmy like jumped him and they couldn't. And there's a backstage segment where Roman Reigns says, I had a lot to say to that man. I gave a year to that man, and you jumped him. You called an audible. I had a lot that I wanted to get off my chest of that piece of garbage. And I was just like, well, hopefully we get that now. So I am looking forward to Friday. There are things where I feel like they already know they have us, so they're not really driving home what I think could be a home run after home run. I think for me, I'm looking at the bloodline as it was mostly home runs every single week. And I know that ended up becoming the average. Like that was the median. It just seemed like every single week we were like, how can this keep going? How can this be so good? Unbelievable. And then it just, it obviously had to come down to get back up again. But I'm looking at this and I feel like from an artistic point of view, it just feels like you said, it could be schedules, it could be timing, it could be a bunch of different things. But I just feel like when I'm like looking at it from a perspective of, Jimmy and Sammy and Jay, it just feels different. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe I'm the only one and I might be the outlier and that's fine.
It's a combination of two things and they kind of contradict each other. So bear with me. This story is 100% rushed, but it also, the downside of this storyline being on both shows is you get a segment like Monday, which is completely unnecessary because the next step from Crown Jewel should be the segment we're going to get on SmackDown. This one on Monday was just filler. And a lot of times when you get filler segments with this stuff, it can dilute the actual story and make it worse. What I would have done, honestly, for Raw, maybe you do a quick backstage segment because obviously we know Sammy and Jay are like Raw superstars or whatever. But it's just like you give a little teaser and get us to watch because obviously like the Sammy Roman's what we really want to see here. We know there's the dynamic where Jay and Sammy are still close and Jimmy, not so much, which is kind of the role reversal of how the Usos were before, whatever, yada, yada. But it's just like, it's one of those things where this stuff is happening in a very condensed timeline, but it's also just like Monday was mostly unnecessary and it's just diluting the product. So SmackDown segment is what I'm looking forward to. I expect it to be good. And like, whatever. It's like I said off the top here. It's what I've accepted with this storyline. But I just don't care, Nestlemania, because we're getting what we've been asking for pretty much since the rumor of more Samoans coming to WWE and members of these families is that we were getting the Civil War. We were getting the War Games match. And it's on the horizon. I'm looking at the calendar. We're like 3 or 4 weeks away. And that's exciting. So I'm willing to be very lenient with all the rest of this bullshit. But yeah, this definitely deserves to be in the heat.
It just bothers me just a little bit because Roman Reigns would be like, we're cooking filet mignons here. Everybody likes fast food storytelling. And I'm like, motherfucker, you're doing it right now. Yeah. You're fucking giving me fast food. I'm in an In-N-Out burger. You know? That's what it is.
I love In-N-Out burgers. I'm cool with that.
I know. In-N-Out burger is fantastic. I mean, get the... you told me about the sauce. I didn't try it and without
animal style?
Yeah, I was like, when I first got it, I was like, I know we
do it on the burgers and the fries.
I know, and I remember Nicole looking at me like, Josh told me I had to do it, and boy, were you right. If there's one thing I've never doubted you on, it's food.
Yeah, some people use the term foodie. I would consider myself that because it's funny because I grew up a very picky eater, didn't eat a lot, but it's just one of those things. I just started to experiment, and now I just can't stop. And so if I hear little tricks of the trade, I go all in, baby, because you have to. You only live twice, so.
And also, that was James Bond reference, nice. And also, follow him on Instagram where he does stories where he reviews things like Coke flavored Oreos.
Yes, it's one of those things during the pandemic when I was in my headband phase and nothing was going on. I saw people doing it, so I did some as a joke, and now people encourage me to do them, so I just keep doing them. So
I'm just glad you eat these things. By the way, my friend Trav, who is also a foodie, you remember him as the intern?
Yes,
the intern, the original supporter of the Knocker, in very many ways, still does. The mysterious benefactor pays for the job at knocker.com. He told me the other day he sent me something Subway or I forget oh no, it's Jimmy John's.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the pickle sub?
I've heard about
it. The bread is a pickle.
Yeah.
And he was like, right up your alley, Nestle. And I was like, I like pickles. Love me some pickles. Don't know if I can.
Do you remember the KFC sandwich? I think it was on the double down. It was like the chicken was the bread. I tried it. It was delicious, but it's one of those things like I'll eat it once. And I'll never do it again because it's literally a heart attack.
Yeah. You got to sign a waiver to eat that thing.
I just feel like the donut sandwiches they've done before. Like, again, I've tried them, but it's a heart attack. I do it once and remember it was great and never do it again.
I would love to go to an all-you-eat buffet with you and the Knocker guys, because just to see.
Dude, the way I approach buffets is I like to try everything I want to try, so I just try to take little samples of everything. It's just like that's the best part. And then when I have my seconds, if there's something really like, I'll get it again, you know. But I'm someone who loves variety, especially in food. So if you're giving me an opportunity to try a million different things,
okay.
You should have seen my spread at the Vegas breakfast buffet this year. Oh, well, the Cosmo buffet. It's fantastic.
Take pictures next time. That's all.
I might have. I don't know.
There's really not a lot of heat here for me. We talked about a lot of things here. It was a very small, condensed Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, the way I saw this episode is like we were recapping Crown Jewel, which is good. It's pretty much Raw, but it's only 2 hours now, so there's less content. But we get to talk about NXT and shitty at W, which has actually been good the last 2 weeks. But yeah, in terms of heat, the only thing we haven't really talked about is like the New Day stuff and the Miz stuff. But I think that might factor into our next segment. So
it might be, but well, I actually have another hope too in my head that just popped up. But let's glorious. You're my only hope. So let's talk about the New Day stuff. Let's talk about the Miz stuff. That is kind of intertwined here a little bit. So I guess we can get hopeful here. I'm curious what everybody else in the chat or anybody that's listening, tweet at us, talk to us. We love having conversations with people because, different perspectives give us more information. So the New Day thing is very interesting where they lost to the Viking Raiders. It's not they did a shitty job in this matchup, but they did a better job in terms of the wrestling was not great, but the explanation on commentary about that they were pumping the shit into the Roar Raiders about their new style, and then Eric getting a fucking, neck and arm surgery and all this other shit. Like they did a great job explaining things if you were paying attention, and they're rebuilding these guys. So clearly they're on the up and up, and they're going to win those tag titles very quickly. But then, of course, the ending with Woods and backstage, and then, of course, Kofi and him not getting along, which apparently led to a Raw Talk exclusive thing where apparently coming up, as we talked about, they're going to have an entire Raw dedicated to the New Day, which I assume culminates with what we want. Give me what I want. But if it doesn't, I'll be pleasantly surprised.
I won't be pleasantly surprised. I'll be pleasantly disappointed. But no, it's like, look at my takeaway from this is that Xavier tagged himself in. And this was the first time we've kind of seen Kofi showing like the disappointment and distrust in Xavier. Because a lot of it has like been Kofi trying to be positive, whatever. And we know Xavier's been frustrated. But this is like what we saw. I really thought they hammered well this week is Kofi finally being like, and kind of saying it to X, being like, look, man, it's this not like this, it's on you. Like you're doing this and that. It's like, this is where it's starting to get interesting because I think you said it to me one of the times. You're like, what if Kofi's the one who flipped? And I was like, I kind of want to be Xavier because for him, but it's like, we're starting to get in that murky area where we have both of them frustrated. So it's like, it leaves it a little more intrigue. And when Big E is part of this celebration and trying to play peacekeeper, could get real interesting.
Imagine if E and Kofi turned on Woods. That'd be quite a swerve, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
If X is ever going to win anything, it says a heel, not a baby.
No, I know.
It has to be him.
Yeah, I know. Just being able to stomp out the guy who had neck surgery would be quite a visual.
That's what I'm hoping for. I think I hope for it for, and I'll stamp it as my second hope here.
It's like a festival of friendship again with KO and Jer. I'm not going to say his name, but you know what I mean. Jericho.
You can say it. WWE Jericho was valid on this program. We just don't talk about trees of
we don't talk about Bruno.
Higher education.
Yeah. Anyway, so my hope is, well, I'm going to give you the hope here is this kidnapping angle with the Miz and Bo Dallas. I really thought this was something special. The fact that it like cut off the promo as they were arguing the New Day, and then it just kind of cuts this VHS thing, and they had the backstage when they were part of the Miz Taraj and everything. Like, I love that. And then he gave him an opportunity to speak, and then he kind of fucked up and was like, oh shit. And then they put the tape back on him and the mask. And I love the whole aspect of it. And I think this was the first time for me. I've always been looking at this from the wrong like viewpoint. I think this was and I go back and watch it because it's worth watching again. This was the first time where I didn't see Bo Dallas leave. I saw the character that they're hoping to be. Like, and I think that's hard to shake that character that you've been, androgynous, but I mean, like, it's hard to shake it. This was the first time where I actually felt like this was not Bo Dallas, leave. This was a real character being a cynical, terrible feeling inside, like what's going on. I'm tormented. I love that aspect of it. I'm very intrigued with the Miz. I think the Miz is carrying this fucking thing. He's literally dragging 5 people on one side, 5 people on the other. And he's just like, I am going to bring us all 11 to the promised land. So my hope here is, I haven't seen it, but I think the acting chops on the Miz can pull this off. I want to see a dark Miz. I want to see like a weird, because we've seen the A-lister, we've seen the goofball, we've seen babyface, we've seen heel. I think the Miz can have a darker edge here. I think it's like just something. I don't know if it's like, I don't want him to be the Undertaker, but I mean, I don't want him to be Bray Wyatt or anything like that. But I think him being kind of in this like weird trance or like weird being, he's literally in between 2 dark factions. And for him to come out of this unscathed does not seem possible. So I would rather see a new version of the Miz here that is completely unequivocally dark that we can get into, because I feel like Triple H sometimes doesn't really use the Miz very well. And this is right in his wheelhouse. And I want to see something come out of this because he deserves a fresh coat of paint here.
Before I comment on all that, I'll be honest, I tuned out the minute you said Miz Undertaker because all I pictured was Biker Miz.
Oh,
You've done it now.
No.
Lost it. I was like, Biker Miz would be the most ridiculous thing in the world. I was just thinking about.
He probably has never been on a motorcycle, maybe a moped.
Oh God. So that's what
Oh,
reminded me
no.
of. But no, look it. I will say that Adam Pearce, I'm questioning your leadership a little bit. When a member of your roster was kidnapped and you knew about it, and you didn't seem to care or do anything about it, a little bit of an HR violation there. But look, no, you're 100% right. Like injecting the Miz in this, I think, is very important because I think he does. The Miz has always done it. He brings everyone up. He's a rising tide. Everyone comes with him, and so you're taking the Wyatt Six, which is a group that, like, when they're out there in front of the crowd, they're great. But for a lot of the other stuff, I think they do need help. And then on the other side, you're obviously talking about the Final Testament, and they definitely need it. But I'm kind of loving this dynamic we have with, like, Karrion Kross being interested in the Miz, but also, like, disowning the Miz. It's a nice, interesting little twist here. And I'm curious to see how it plays out. But overall, I think the Miz is, like, kind of the glue holding this Wyatt Six Final Testament feud together, and it's working.
Can I get my additional bonus hope here? Because I just think it's great. So something happened over the weekend. I don't know if a lot of people saw this, but JBL, or John Layfield, excuse me, again went to another indie show and clothesline, and he's looking really good. And apparently he does not have any pain lately. I say give him one more run, JC. Doesn't have to be world champion, but John Bradshaw Layfield in this dynamic, this generation would be something else. Imagine how many people he would make fun of. Imagine how close he could get to being canceled on this version of WWE TV. I just think he was a heel's heel. And I just think John Bradshaw Layfield, one last run, even if it's a short one, give him 6 months, something. Let's do it.
If Chad Gable wasn't such a good mouthpiece, I would put him with American Made. It'd be fucking money, especially in the current political environment we're in. But obviously, Chad Gable doesn't need any help in that department. But just JBL with, like, the great tag team and then Ivy Nile stud, and it would be a cool thing. But look I was very excited last time they teased the JBL thing, the thing with Baron Corbin, and they kind of didn't do anything with it, which was disappointing. So
you don't want to see John Bradshaw Layfield wrestle just one more time?
Wrestle, no. On TV, absolutely.
Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree because I think you're wrong about that.
You probably want the WrestleMania main event to be Nick Aldis versus JBL. That'll put butts in the seats.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying John Bradshaw Layfield deserves one more run. That's all I'm saying.
As a wrestler, who does JBL even want to wrestle?
Oh, Dom, Jesus Christ. Could John Bradshaw Layfield be behind the mock stuff? Are you out of your fucking mind?
That'd be so much better than what it's gonna be, but
it's not gonna be Shane McMahon, is it? It can't be.
It has to be. What else could it possibly be? What else could it possibly be than Shane McMahon? There's nobody else that would even come close to, like, having an impact and making sense. It's gonna be terrible, and I can't wait for it.
Let me ask you this: just take our biases out of this for just a half a second here.
What are my biases?
Well, we hate AEW.
I don't hate AEW.
Okay,
like AEW.
we're very critical.
Last 2 weeks has been great. We'll get there.
Last 3 weeks has been great. I was going to put them in my comeback, to be honest.
Okay. That's next.
That's fine. But I will ask you this. If Shane McMahon shows up, do you think the AEW faithful, the hardcore AEW fan, will revolt because it's a WWE drone, or they will accept him because he came to the better side, in their opinion?
Yes and yes. But here's the thing. Shane McMahon's coming as a heel, which is why it will work. But here's the thing. In Nestlemania, wrestling fans are all the same. Whether they're WWE, AEW, or they're like us. They just enjoy both or whatever. We all a bunch of puppets, bro. Mark Henry said it perfect. They can serve us fucking shit on a stick. And if we're loyal, we're going to fucking take that stick and we are going to lick it clean. Because, you know what? We're not even going to brush our teeth afterward. Because fucking that's what wrestling fans are. We're all a bunch of puppets. And that's fine. It's called loyalty. It's called brand loyalty. So the people who love AEW, they'll find a way to defend it. People who hate AEW will find a way to rip it. Whether it's good, bad, or in between, it doesn't matter. That's just how it is. So, but you can come to the Jobber Knocker. You can get unbiased commentary. We'll react accordingly. When AEW is good, we'll say it's good. When AEW sucks, we'll say it sucks. When WWE is good, we'll say it's good. When WWE sucks, we'll say it sucks. When Nestlemania wants a geriatric guy to come in and wrestle, I'll tell him he's wrong. You know? Circle of life, baby.
You always just throw a dig in there. You always find a way.
What do you expect?
446 episodes. I'd say probably 440 of them are you and me. Maybe. But every week you find a way to just,
I have to give the people what they want.
what
they need.
Shove it in there.
Yeah. You always got to shove it in there.
No lube, nothing. Just raw dogging it.
Never
just
lube.
Fucking hashtag
Don't
raw
need
dog.
Lube's for old people. Just kidding.
Hear the
Teach their own. I don't know what people
Anywho, we got way off topic.
Everyone's different, Nestlemania.
Is it your hope? I forgot where we are.
I don't know. I don't even know if I did a hope. Don't call it a comeback. We're going back to Monday Night Raw, and we're going to da-da-da-da-da-da. I love the song, but it always sounds like Wade Barrett when I try to do it, but I'm giving it to the future of Lucha Libre, Nestlemania.
Oh,
I'm giving it to Dragon Lee because this match was fucking awesome. And Dragon Lee is incredibly talented. They just need to figure out what the fuck they're going to do with him because he is a stud. I enjoy him as a tag team. I think it works, but it's just the tag division's kind of a mess. But this fucking singles match with Dragon Lee this week was chef's kiss. It's fantastic. It reminded us why they signed him and why it was a big deal. He's really fucking good in the ring. So more of that. He's the future Lucha Libre. He's young. He's a stud. Had a great match this week. Dragon Lee, you get my comeback. Not even Nestle can say this was a bad match.
It wasn't a bad match because Chad Gable's in there. Chad Gable was in there.
You take Chad Gable, who's amazing, and Dragon Lee, who's amazing. You put it together, and you get a fucking masterpiece. This
Dragon, that's not a masterpiece. Pump the fucking brakes.
It was a masterpiece.
No, you're fucking high. You're drunk.
This match, if it was on Crown Jewel, would have been the second best match by far.
That's not even debatable because the rest of the fucking show was gaga.
Oh, guess what? Then it's an irrefutable fact. It was the second.
You could have put anybody out there and it would have been the second best match.
Fantastic. So
you are twisting your narrative.
JC won, Nestlemania negative infinity. Boom!
You're gonna pop so hard.
I'm gonna give you the ball hammer
when he's a Royal Rumble entrant. But look. Dragon Lee is not going to be the future of Lucha Libre.
Future Lucha Libre.
No, he's not.
Deserving comeback.
No,
fantastic match. Best match of the week.
You're so full of it. Like you just sit there to push my buttons. Dragon Lee is not in 5 years going to be in the WWE.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
No.
He sells masks and he's not Sin Cara, so I think he.
Do you see people fucking buying his mask? Do you see any type of merchandise for Dragon Lee?
No,
you see LWO match.
Update the Nestle curse list. Dragon Lee's probably gonna be a world champion now.
Dragon Lee won't even be a United States champion.
Oh boy, he's definitely gonna be a mid-card champion. So the Nestle curse, here it comes, baby. Halloween's over, but Nestle. Woo!
Listen, he is not the future of Lucha Libre. There's like 600 other luchadors that are better than him.
I don't think so. I watch AEW and they all suck.
Well, that's Commander.
Yeah, he's fucking.
What kind of name is fucking Commander?
I don't know. He sucks. That Vikino guy is so overrated.
And
he does really cool stuff, but the guy can't. He's not smooth. He's just a watch machine.
And hologram feels like I'm back in the 1990s with the fucking WWE.
Yeah, I didn't know the Shockmaster got more athletic and was wrestling.
Yeah, it's fucking weird, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about a hard-on for a guy.
Ray Phoenix is amazing. I agree with that, but he's not exactly young, so he's not the future of Lucha Libre. He's the now of Lucha Libre, sure.
Don't ever call anybody the future of anything because it's essentially a curse.
Well, I'm just going to call it. Well, only if you say it. Like when you said
this man's going to be a world champion. Is that what you want me here? Huh?
I mean, you've already done it the other way, so now that you're trying, it's not going to. That's not how.
It's not a double curse.
That's not how the curse works. You can't try it. You have no control over it.
I have no control out of what I say, huh?
Yeah.
You are so full of it. By the way, don't make me think that I didn't forget. You didn't have a hope this week. You fucking.
No, my hope was the New Day stuff. We went over it. We talked it out.
No, that was full of shit. You're so full of shit.
Your hope wasn't the New Day stuff. Your hope was the Miz stuff. My hope was the New Day stuff.
I gave you two. I gave you JBL too.
That's wonderful. It's not a fucking. You know what? I do quality over quantity on this program, bro.
Yeah, as you get more drunk.
One comeback,
as you get more drunk. Just give you an IV bag. Just put it in your veins.
God, I wish.
You know?
Especially tonight.
Yeah, well, whatever. How's the Electoral College going, huh? Anyway, let's forget about getting to 270. Anyway, on that note, we should probably move on to, I don't know.
Your comeback?
My comeback.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for writing the ship. My comeback's going to Yes Boy! Because when they came back, I was just like, fuck yeah! Every time I see Pretty Deadly, I'm just like, this tag division on both shows is so fucking terrible. We're giving titles to people who don't fucking need them. we need to give the Machine Guns more time. I see the A-Town Down Under stuff. Like, I'm like, okay, that's cool. On Raw, it's a fucking mess. It's an absolute travesty. Some of these tag teams aren't getting TV time. I love what Pretty Deadly's doing. I have a feeling as
You actually like what they're doing. They're not doing anything.
No. Let me fucking finish.
You never finish.
I'm sure I finish. Thank you very much.
You lost your train of thought.
No, I'm trying to finish. I know, though, but seriously, I'm excited to see them. I don't think they know what to do with Pretty Deadly at all.
They don't. I like
it's so frustrating.
It's one of those things. It's like HBK's so good with stuff like that, but Triple H, sometimes you get him and he just doesn't. It's hard because obviously they're balancing a lot of stuff on the main roster. It's a much different thing because the main stuff gets way more time because it has to be on every week. So it's like these types of acts, like they're hard to fit in. That's why it's like the idea that you put into the universe of them working with Tiffy was a good idea. Them immediately doing it and executing it poorly, not great, but unfortunately that happens a lot in the main roster. But look, I like Pretty Deadly a lot too. It's just I don't know if they're ever going to be what we want them to be on the main roster. I just don't think they're ever going to get the true opportunity they deserve. Maybe they will with the Machine Guns there. There'll be more tag team division. Maybe they can have a good feud with them. But I'm worried that there's someone might fall through the cracks, like some of the people who got released this week.
So that what a good segue. I was just about to bring that up, but I will say this much: like I agree with you. I'm nervous that Pretty Deadly will not be around in 2 years.
Yeah, I think that's very fair because especially we talk about all the time the depth at NXT, the way they're churning out talent, they're continuing to add more and more ways to bring in talent. It's like, there's a lot of talented people like waiting in the wings, but also are currently out there. It's competitive. Might not be your fault because 3 releases this week. Baron Corbin's contract was up. I think so. They just didn't renew it. But you know how I feel about Corbin. He's a great world champion that never was. He pretty much had every accolade but a world championship. He was fantastic. He kind of revitalized himself in NXT, but comes back to the main roster, and they never really had anything for him this year. So I think, honestly, for him, this release will probably be a blessing if he wants to stay in the industry because whatever other company he goes to, Nestlemania, he is going to be such a stud for them because he is such a good worker, and he is a 5-tool player where he can bring stuff out of people that maybe need help, and he just makes everyone better by being involved, and he's legit. So I think he's going to succeed whatever he does. But as me being a Corbin guy, literally since day one, since day one, obviously it's heartbreaking because I had high hopes for him, but nothing is forever. You do get 2 lives, so you never know. Maybe he comes back someday, maybe he doesn't. But either way, I think he'll be fine. But I was very disappointed to see him go. That's for sure.
I got the feeling that he's done with wrestling. I'm probably wrong, but it feels like it could be.
It's one of those things, like, I bet he'll take a break, but there's going to be demand for him in some of those other companies. Like, I think it's like our boy Chris said on Twitter, like, he has Impact World Champion written all over him. And I think he'd do a lot for that type of company. But who knows? I mean, I'm sure it's one of those things. I'm sure Tony would have interest too, because he's a great character. And I'm sure there are people in that company that are advocating for a guy like him to be there if he wants to be. But you never know. I mean, the dude does awesome I watch all his meat videos. We're both big meat fans. I could watch him cook a steak all day. I could watch him sip whiskey all day. As a steak and whiskey man myself, I appreciate it. But, he can just go hang out with Taylor Swift and watch Chiefs games too, because they're the 2 most famous Chiefs fans. So there you go.
And the other 2 people, Tegan Knox should have been, unfortunately used
more. They just
but
never had anything for her on the main roster. Yeah. It was one of those things they tried. It was never there. She obviously, every time she seemed to get a moment, she'd get injured. So it was bad luck. I still think she's incredibly talented. I'm always going to be a fan of her. She's going to keep wrestling. We know that. The one that surprised me, though, was Indy, because I feel like they were just scratching the surface with what they could do with her. Because she's not like a face of a company person, like whatever. She's not like a top of the division person, but she's someone that, like, no matter what they put her in, she always seemed to always be better than I expected. And there was always something about her where she had that root ability, which is hard to teach. Her NXT moment was amazing, but it's like she won the title, obviously was injured. They drafted her while she was injured. She was on crutches for 6 months. She was kind of on TV, kind of wasn't. They had the title match for the tag titles, her and Candice, I believe in Australia, right? But besides that, they've pretty much done nothing. She's just kind of been there. So she never got a fair shake on the roster. She's still pretty young. So that one came as a bit of a surprise to me because I felt like there was more to do with her. But again, it's a competitive industry. Who knows the contract situation if it was up and they're just like, look it, like we have 1 million people waiting in the reins. Like we just look at all the people, the 3 they just signed and Delta, Julia, and Backer adding to the already deepest division NXT. Like there are so many women they could call up yesterday. They already have trouble getting all these women on TV on the main roster. So, but it did. This one caught me as a surprise because I was like, I felt like they could have done more here, but
personally, I think she's hilarious. So I think that's the part they didn't tap into was her ability to make people laugh. Like there's always an upside to anybody. You just got to dig deep. And I think hers was just being kind of off kilter funny. And I mean, just
that Loomis storyline in NXT was just so good. It was like, I never cared about Indy before that. I never have been a Dexter Loomis person until he grew that hair. But like that storyline, I was so invested in. It was amazing.
I don't know. I just sometimes I feel
that one was weird to me.
I feel like sometimes we're stuck in like this weird vortex of we're fixated on these things and these people, but they have so many talented people and then they just let them go. And you're just like, I get it, but I don't know. The people they keep sometimes are head scratchers to me.
Yeah. And I don't want
anybody to
lose
what I
mean.
Yeah.
So I don't want to like make comparisons, but yeah, that's why to me, like, I'll simply say with her, it was a surprise for that reason you mentioned all the other reasons. I just felt like there was a lot of things still to do with her and they never really gave her a shake. Whereas you could look around, there's other people like, you know what I mean? But I'm never going to mention names. I agree with that, but it's just like, that one was a little head scratching to me for sure, but it is what it is. I'm sure there'll be more to come. Like we said, this is always going to be part of the industry. It's a competitive industry. It's not always your fault, but if you have enough talent, you'll end up where you're supposed to be anyways. And I am undoubtedly that these 3 are all going to land on their feet because I think they're all studs in their own ways. So,
all right, should we get to the big old finish?
Big old finish, Nestlemania. We're going to get to NXT. We're going to get to AEW. But on SmackDown, we obviously have the Bloodline stuff. We'll have Cody Fallout, Randy KO Fallout. And we also have, as you mentioned earlier, the Motor City Machine Guns will be on the Grayson Waller Effect.
I did love Alex Shelley's quib about being like, we're going to be on Miz TV. Like, I thought that was great. Like, I mean, the thing about Alex Shelley, this is years ago. I don't think you've probably ever seen these videos, but they are outstandingly funny. When Kevin Nash was in TNA, and the X Division was kind of in a resurgence, he was part of this entire paparazzi like thing that was happening with Alex Shelley. And it was some of the funniest fucking shit you will ever see in your life. And Alex Shelley was the star of it with Kevin Nash, like not being a big grump, but it was actually really fucking funny. I'm just telling you, Alex Shelley will surprise you just a little bit in terms of his comedic timing. And if he gets
familiar with this game. I'm familiar.
I'm just saying, Chris Sabin is just a gee golly gosh, happy to be here kind of guy. But Alex Shelley, that man has entertainment, a lot of entertainment value. So I'm curious to see what happens there. No, you're shooting your guns. I get it. Your little
machine guns.
I thought a machine
Motor City Machine Guns. Yeah, but that's I don't remember anything from Raw. So Nestlemania. Should we hit the NXT menu for tomorrow? It's a special Wednesday edition. They're in Philadelphia. They're honoring ECW. This card is super hot fire.
We got Jada Parker versus Lola Vice in a hardcore match with Dawn Marie as a special guest referee. I mean,
this is a dream match.
I'm telling you right now.
Everything that you just mentioned. This is amazing.
I mean, it doesn't matter what you like. It has it all.
It's like I said, NXT
literally
has a great menu.
I mean, literally. Doesn't matter what features you like. You have it all. And then,
it's
of course,
be physical too. Lola Vice, MMA fighter. Yeah. Jada Parker, pretty much, she's Grand Theft Auto character. Like, these are 2 badass women. You're bringing back a badass woman to be involved in it. This is gonna have gaga. This is gonna have violence, and it's gonna have ass. I don't know how else to say it.
The other thing too is the Francine's supposed to be there, and like Francine and Dom Marie always have a cat fight, so that just seems like inevitable. Whatever, that's gonna make me laugh if that fucking happens. Of course, from one woman to another massive 10-woman tag, it's like super team versus super team. We've got the Fatal Influence as well as Cora and your girl Roxanne versus this fucking juggernaut team of fucking Zarya, Vacker, Julia, Jordan Grace, who just fucking popped up.
Just randomly, like, yeah, bring in the big guns.
Yeah, just like we're going up against NXT, so we're going against AEW. We're just gonna fucking. I mean, it's in the ECW arena. That's good enough. But I mean, like, you're going up against, and of course, let's see, we got Wesley, and of course, your boy Javon. Is RVD going to be a triple threat?
I mean, if they make this a triple threat, I will pop. But it's just one of those things. Like, it's so obvious, but most people don't do it. But you take two of the most athletic flippy dippy psycho guys and you put them with one of the most entertaining flippy dippy like guys ever, and especially with ACW. And it's just too perfect. It's just too perfect. Like this card is beautiful.
Speaking of beautiful, we probably have a general good idea of this right now, but it seems like there's going to be a Tony D'Angelo will have a family business meeting, which we assume Nunzio will be there, which again, I love the full-blooded Italians. So,
the FBI is one of my favorite factions of all time for obvious reasons, but as a big fan of Nunzio and Johnny Stromboli and Chuck Palumbo and the crew, if Nunzio's there, that's going to hit some heartstrings.
You don't even know about Big Sal in ECW, so.
I'm familiar, but I wasn't
Big Sal was 600 pounds, so it is what it is. And then finally, the reason everybody's turning on their TVs apparently is where the tag matches Trick Williams and Bubba Ray or Bully Ray, depending on who you talk to, against All Ego and Ridge in a tag match. I assume the big faces will go over with a big fucking flaming table or something crazy like that. But it's going to be a good time one way or the other,
I have two takeaways from this match. One, it'll probably be fun, and two, Trick will be getting a table.
He's going to be bossing around the other guy. Okay.
It would be funny if Trick made Bubba get the table.
Bubba get the table.
That would be a fun little swerve.
Bubba? Wait, I'm not going to. Yeah, exactly. So it is what it is. Also, it says that Ava will be making a special announcement about NXT.
That's just making fun of Tony Khan, and I'm all fucking for it because they're going head to head. What other ECW stars do you think we might see on the show?
I mean, guys or girls that are actually good. Somebody said something.
I think Tommy Dreamer's a shoo-in.
Tommy Dreamer, yep, he's a lifer. I mean, I wish Taz was part of it. That's not going to happen. I'd love to see Raven. I don't think that maybe I don't know. I'm a Raven guy. The Sandman would be cool.
I was gonna say Sandman's probably an easy bet.
But then it's like, I just feel like the whole ending is going to be a fucking like gaga moment where like all the ECW people will be out with Trick and Trick will just be like drinking.
Yvonne.
Yeah, I mean,
here's my other one is because I know she's done things. Stacy Keibler in the Dudley gear. I mean, we saw Maxine dress up like her, but bring her back. Come on, baby. Yeah. Legs and eggs.
Legs and eggs. Jesus Christ. So basically, we have a lot to look forward to here. It's going to be
awesome. I know. Well, I'm working, but I know what I'll be watching first when I get home.
I mean, there's just going to be a lot of fun for everybody here, and I think that's kind of the whole reason to be watching. But that's one person's opinion. Moving over, they are going to go to up against this is, God fucking damn it. I have to fucking pump this up. Are you ready? Live for TBS's AEW Dynamite Full Gear. Getting ready for Full Gear. Here we go, JC. You ready?
Full Gear.
Full Gear is the 23rd. So we got a couple weeks. We got 2 weeks.
We have 3 more Dynamites before then.
3 more Dynamites. We've got your boy Christian Cage and Hook having a face-to-face.
I don't mind this. I mean, look at anything Christian Cage I'm in. Like I said, AEW's been better the last 2 weeks. I mean, there's also someone hasn't wrestled in 2 weeks. That helps. But it's just there's been a lot more interesting stuff, which I think is good. And Christian Cage is always interesting for me. So check mark here.
We've got Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher against Will Ospreay. No, I'm just kidding. It's probably Will Ospreay. Ricochet and a mystery opponent.
I'm all about this. This is great. Fletcher, our boy Dom's all over this. But I agree. Kyle Fletcher's doing great work right now. This heel turn was great. And I know you had the biggest chub in the world when he started shaving his head for no reason. No reason. He's like, I'm going to fucking shave my head. And I'm like, oh my God. Nestle probably has his pants off right now.
I said, put the hair in the bag and give it to me. Sorry. That's great. I just want to be.
Oh, such a creepy giggle. Too.
I know. Anyway, yeah. So by the way, did you see Dijak's thing that he wrote for Ricochet? That was outstanding. Like, here's the thing. I wasn't the biggest Dijak guy, but since his release and his interactions with people that I've heard about, I mean, this guy's great. I mean, like, just Just
He's
his
finally
ability.
giving it to like zero fucks.
Yeah.
But it works. Like it's
It works
personality.
with him. Like,
Yeah, it's what he's always needed because he's always had the look. He's a big guy, but it's like you need to like just unleash and just be something. And he's finally doing that.
I just think it's really fucking funny. Like, really fucking funny that, like, literally, like, you look at it and you think to yourself, holy shit. Holy fucking shit. That's all. Anyway, moving on. The Hurt Syndicate is live. Now, we didn't talk about this. Your boy, Big Bob, is now part of.
As someone who owns a Hurt Business shirt and a Shelty B Hurt Business shirt, you know how I feel about the Hurt Business. But like I've said, this is a great short-term thing for AEW, short-term solution. I love the screen time Shelty's getting. I love the wrestling spotlight that Shelty B has gotten. And yeah, Bobby's big business. Bobby and Swerve is big business. This is good. Again, this is a lot of the themes of AEW has been better the last couple weeks because there's more story, there's more intrigue, there's more things when I look at the card I'm actually excited for. And yeah, I mean, they kind of botched his debut, I think, a little bit, but
really?
Yeah, I mean, that's just
well, they fucked up the lighting. I understand that.
I'm so sick of that shit. It's like I don't need to black out everything.
No, my thought is this. I will say, as much as you want to shit on the blackout and like the mistiming of the cues and stuff, I get that. I do.
That's literally a group on your show. That's their gimmick. Don't do it for everything else. It cheapens it.
I will say this much. The one thing that I really enjoyed was like, okay, I thought Dynamite was going to end with just MVP being like, hey, I need you and I'll see you next week. And then he fucking came out right away. I was like, okay, that was a nice little surprise. I'll give it to them on that. I think AEW's been doing a lot of great work the last 3 weeks. I know we really give a hard time to AEW, especially, the 2
weeks. I'll give them 2 weeks.
I'll say 3. I think 3 they've been cooking.
The week before they had that match that I did not care for.
Well, yeah. Speaking of matches you don't care for, we've got the no-named trio of trees versus the conglomeration, which I couldn't give less of a shit about. In a fight without honor, true. Who gives a shit?
Tumble, Jeff. Get it out of here. Don't even talk about it.
Penelope Ford against Jamie Hayter. I mean, you can't.
Come on. Studs. 2 studs. I'm happy to see Penelope Ford back. It's been too long. Like she said, she's an OG of AEW 2 in the women's division. And Jamie Hayter, I'm kind of disappointed with what they've done since her return, but like, I get it. They're keeping her away from people, but both these women are studs, and I'm glad they're getting a nice spotlight on the show this week.
Jamie Hayter does things. Just does things.
Remember what I talked about, that ECW match that we talked about, the last part? Yeah.
Anyway, moving on, we've got Adam Cole, baby! It's all about the boom as he goes against Malachi Black. I mean, this is going to be a match that I've seen in NXT 150 times.
Why? I know we talked about this last week, but this whole like race to 3, like this is
all about the boom.
You know how in sports, a lot of the times we say people get too cute. This is too cute booking. Like it's unnecessary. It's just like, why? Why do you overcomplicate it? It was like the fucking Okada Bryan match where after 20 minutes, it's like, why are we doing this? You don't need this much crap. It's dumb. Too cute. It's not too sweet. It's too cute.
Okay.
Yeah,
Moving on, and our main event.
I don't care for this. Do you care for this storyline that much?
Listen.
I love Max. I love Adam Cole, but I'm just.
Personally, I love Adam Cole.
I do too.
I just love what he's been able to do. I personally believe he's one of the best in terms of a connection with the crowd. In the ring, I think he's lost a step or 5. Just saying. From what
you're one of the weight room boys.
Huh? No. I'm not body shaming. I'm saying even pre broken ankle, unfortunately, God bless he's okay. I just think some people rest on their laurels and some people get better. I just haven't seen since he's come to AEW anything that's been any good in terms of me being like, show me something else. That's all. But he's got a spot in my heart forever because he's probably an amazing human being, number 1. Number 2, he's damn entertaining. But the thing is the match is supposed to be Adam Cole versus MJF, and I don't give a fuck about the ending of that match. So the lead up to me just feels like this is all convoluted and doesn't give any credence to me to care. I just want it off of my plate. Like literally, I feel like I'm sorry to bring it back to a food, but I feel like I'm literally going out to dinner, eating something and just being like, yeah, I ate it. Get it off my fucking plate. Literally, like I'm done. I'm moving on. What else you got?
Are they trying to make you just take rolls?
Yes, they want you to take the roles. Exactly. Don't
What
ever
I'm
stuff up on
looking
the
for in
roles
this feud is it doesn't make a lot of sense.
for it
I'll
to be
go with
over.
Jeff. Well, yeah, but I also like more masseuse, less everything else.
You want less of the lady?
No, more of the masseuse, less of everything else.
Well, you said the opposite. You said less
No,
of the
I said
masseuse.
more masseuse, less everything
No, you
else.
said less of masseuse.
Literally what I said. Roll back the tape.
I
And
can't.
the
It's
question who's
live.
been drinking on this program and who hasn't been.
I haven't even taken my gummy yet. Anyway, moving on. We got the main event as Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, who came down from the Sting Sky, against Claudio Castagnoli and Pac, which is not a tag team title match. So,
Wait, do they have tag team titles?
I'm sorry, they're the trios champion, aren't they? I forget.
I don't.
Oh yeah, Private Party won too. That's a big moment.
Yeah, it was cool. I still think they missed the moment the first time.
Yeah, they did.
It was fine, but they definitely missed the moment. And then Tony was like, "Oh fuck, I should have done it," and just did it. But again, I love these guys. They're deserving. It was a good full circle moment of 5 years. It wasn't on the dot like it could have been, but you know, I'm happy for these guys. And it's nice to have a little bit. Maybe we can actually have some tag team wrestling in AEW again now that we don't have a team where their gimmick is to not wrestle. So.
What did you think of the behind the scenes thing where they were shredding the paper, the Young Bucks? Do you think that's
I'm glad they took the titles off them because whatever is happening with this Moxley thing is like they're going to be a part of the other team, but it's kind of like that Survivor Series feel where you get like the strange bedfellows where it's like the Young Bucks don't want to be a part of it. They want to be neutral. They want to just do their thing, but it's going to threaten AEW and they're going to have to step up and they're going to have to team with people that are their enemies. So it is like that old school Survivor Series thing that we're heading for. And I'm intrigued by it because I think the Young Bucks are very good at this type of stuff. Like I think they are very underrated, I think, sometimes in the character stuff because we focus so much on like the wrestling first, but like they've always been good at all the other stuff. Great at all the other stuff. So I've been very intrigued with like the stuff of them shredding papers and them not wanting to help or this and that. And like this week they abandoned Brandon and he got sacrificed. Like I like these little pieces where the whole story, I don't know how I feel about it because the Mox thing, whatever, but these little pieces of it, they can pull me in with stuff like this.
Do you think we can live in a world where you can make sense of this, where it's like Moxley's just running train on everything and everybody for so long? We get to the Blood and Guts War Games, and it's the original Elite versus Moxley's gang. Like even like Kenny, Hangman, Bucks.
The Hangman one's tough because his character is in such a weird place right now.
But no, I'm thinking like 6 months down the line now because they just fucking blew Kenny's load, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that. So
yeah,
he's randomly showing up in Japan on July. Right? Yeah, right after Wrestle Kingdom.
He compared an incident with that guy to an incident with like the CM Punk incident or something I saw. So interesting. But yeah, I mean, look, the Bucks are going to be babyface eventually, and this is how we're going to start to get there. But I like the strange bedfellows angle they're going with now. That stuff's always intriguing. As much as Survivor Series always was what it was, I always kind of enjoyed like how these random teams form and how like people who don't like each other have to gain together for a greater good. It's kind of like what they're doing obviously with War Games and WWE with the Bloodline. But it's like the idea that the Bucks are going to have to team up with the Orange Cassidys and the Darby Allins to save AEW from John Moxley and his Shane McMahon conglomerate or whatever the fuck they're doing. So,
okay. Just curious.
Also, Tony Khan in a neck brace joined Team AEW.
Oh,
put him in the match. Fuck it. I can't even say it with a straight face. Okay. I missed that angle. Him at the draft in that neck brace was one of the greatest moments for AEW in their history because it was so fucking ridiculously funny. And the fact that NFL Network live on the air had to comment about it, it was just like, it's so bad, it's good. I miss that. I miss it. It was so bad, it was good. And they just didn't do anything with it.
I know.
Damn shame.
I know.
Shad Khan came to the ring, Nestlemania. One of the richest human beings on the fucking planet. It came in front of fucking 500 fans in a fucking wrestling show. Oh, God. That had so much potential. Oh.
All right. Are we good?
Shane McMahon versus Tony Khan.
No, the dad.
Shad Khan.
Yes.
No. It's a tag team match. Shane and Vince versus Shad and Tony. Jesus Christ.
I don't think that's gonna go well.
Fine, Linda and Shane versus Sean and
Linda, at least she's well, whatever.
She might be a cabinet member again soon. God forbid.
Anywho, on that note, maybe we should just be grateful that we're here together as friends. All right. On that note, thank you for listening and watching the Jobber Knocker. We'll be back next week with some more Jobber Knockery.
Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity.